I will retire at the right time. August 2027. We have amongst us some vice chancellors. I shared the tag vice with them. I don't want to forget them. We must form a union to get a substitute name. Sri Sarbanand Sonowal ji lacks one thing terribly. He doesn't know how to court enemies because he has none. And ladies and gentlemen, my docket is full of them. I need guidance from our ex-faculty that can help me tide over this very daunting, menacing problem. I can only assure you my fullest commitment to be a good student. Professor Shanti Shri Dhuli Pudi Pandit ji, Vice Chancellor JNU, Professor M.S. Chetra, Director ICSA, अखिल भारतीय टोली सदस्य प्रार्थना प्रवाह, माननीय नंद कुमार जी, प्लीज you may retire. I will retire at the right time. August 2027. Subject to divine intervention. माननीय नंद कुमार जी, we have Padam Shri Dr. M.D. Srinivas, a person who has focused on something unique, history of science and technology. We have amongst us some vice chancellors. I shared the tag vice with them. I don't want to forget them. We must form a union to get a substitute name because unlike me, most do not suffer vices. But trust me, my vices have nothing to do with my marriage or my profession. So Vice Chancellor Nirja Gupta ji, Professor Yugani Goyal ji, then we have amongst us Professor Ram Subramaniam ji, IIT Bombay. And of course Manoj Shinde ji, patron ICSA. आज बहुत शुभ दिन है, दो कारण से। आज का आयोजन गुरु पूर्णिमा पर है। सभी को हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। It is a facet of Indian knowledge system. मैं सभी मेरे गुरुजनों को प्रणाम करता हूं। मेरे माता पिता, मेरे दादा दादी, मेरे नाना नानी, मेरे गुरुजन समक्ष थे, सभी को प्रणाम। We have in the audience people who qualify to the status of Gurujan. My respectful reverence to all of you. Friends, it is a delight to inaugurate first annual academic conference on Indian knowledge system. It has not come a day too soon. My warmest compliments to the JNU and ICSA for pioneering this initiative, much needed initiative and contemporaneously highly relevant. At the heart of this conference lies a profound truth, undiluted, unqualified. India is not just a political construct. It is much beyond. It wasn't formed in the mid-20th century. It's a civilizational continent, a flowing river of consciousness, inquiry, and learning that has endured, as was reflected by Sri Sonowalji, across millennia. I have a small caveat. Mine is not a keynote address. Sonowalji imparted a keynote address. Friends, countries live in centuries. India thrives and lives in yugas. Yug. Bharat breathes through recitation of Vedas and Upanishads. It speaks through the intricate sutras of Panini. It calculates with the precision of Aryabhat, and it governs with the prudence, patience, sagacity of Kautilya. India is unique in the world, on the planet. India's story is an unbroken narrative of human aspiration towards knowledge, harmony, transcendence. Long before universities of Europe came into being, these universities began to stir. India had already established, much before, thriving centers of learning. Our ancient land was home to luminous centers of intellectual life. Takshila, Nalanda, Vikramshila, Vallabhi, Odantpuri. These were the towering citadels of knowledge. Their libraries were vast oceans of wisdom, housing tens and thousands of manuscripts. These were global universities, where seekers came from lands near and far, from Korea and China, Tibet and Persia. These were spaces where the intellect of the world embraced the spirit of Bharat. That inclusivity which some try to teach us, they should be learning from us. India did not just teach. India welcomed, debated, exchanged, and inspired. Let me read out a quote from Max Muller's lecture to incoming British ICS officers, because it bears relevance. I quote, "If I were asked under what sky the human mind has most full developed, some of its choicest gifts has most deeply pondered on the greatest problems of life, and has found solutions of some of them which well deserve the attention even of those who studied Plato and Kant, I should point to India," unquote. Friends, it was nothing but articulation of eternal truth. But then, friends, came an interregnum, a very gory interregnum. Barbarism prevailed over civilization. An unlettered Turco-Afghan military general, Bakhtiar Khalji, ravaged the centers of learning and repositories of learning, wiping off a store of knowledge that was accumulated over centuries painstakingly. Islamic invasion of India caused the first interlude in the glorious journey of Bharatiya Vidya Parampara. Instead of embrace and assimilation, there was contempt and destruction. The British colonization brought forth the second interlude, when Indian knowledge system was stunted, stymied, and subverted. Centers of learning changed their motives. the compass was moderated. The North Star was changed. From bearing sages and savants, it started producing clerks and yeomen. The needs of the East India Company to have brown babus replaced the need of the nation to have thinkers. Our glorious, inalienable facet over millennia. We stopped thinking, contemplating, writing, and philosophizing. We started cramming, regurgitating, solving. Grades unfortunately replaced critical thinking. The great Bharatiya Vidya Parampara and its allied institutions were systematically drained, destructed, and decimated. Resultantly, we became consumers of a knowledge system whose authors neither belonged to Bharat, nor understood its spirit, nor at their heart was our concern. A new layer of civilizational narrative seeped in colonial prejudices, and this was imposed upon us recklessly, ruthlessly, and unfortunately it permeated. Their purpose was not discovery, it was domination. Their scholarship was not born of reverence, but of condescension. Through that distorted lens, India's profound philosophies were reduced to superstition. What a travesty! What unbearable pain! Western constructs were paraded as universal truths. To put it more bluntly, untruth was camouflaged as truth. While indigenous insights were dismissed as relics of primitive past, this was not an error of interpretation. It was an architecture of erasure, destruction, decimation. And what is more tragic, this selective remembrance continued even after independence. What should have been our fundamental priority was not even on the radar. How can you be not cognizant of your core values? Instead of healing, we inherited the very vices we fought to overthrow. We adopted their practices. Marxist perversion replaced colonial distortion. And friends, even today, the shadows of those colonial misreadings continue to shape textbooks, curricula, and minds. They continue to demand respect. There are narratives in their favor. A matter of deep reflection and of worrisome concern. But friends, today's gathering is far more than sentimental gaze backward or a nostalgic remembrance of our golden age. It is game-changing. The step taken here during 3 days will go a long way. This conference, I believe strongly, stands as a serious academic endeavor to correct a historical wrong, aberrations that are painful for us, aberrations that urge us to question, investigate, critique, and rediscover. Now is the time to cast off the chains of borrowed narratives, inherited distortions. It is time to reclaim our intellectual sovereignty. This will be done, friends, through hard and patient scholarship. We would require an army of translators, researchers, PhDs, postdoctors, professors, analysts, linguists, modelers, and the like. There is growing need, an urgent need, to bridge what is often seen as a divide between tradition and modernity. It doesn't exist. This divide is artificial and intellectually lazy. The wisdom of the past does not obstruct innovation, rather it inspires it. The metaphysical can speak to the material. Spiritual insight can coexist with scientific precision. But then you have to know what is spiritual insight. The Rig Veda hymns to the cosmos can find new relevance in the age of astrophysics. The Charak Samhita can be read alongside global debates on public health ethics. As we navigate a fractured world, we are stunned by global conflagrations. So we are faced with a fractured world, knowledge systems that have long reflected on the interplay between mind and matter, the individual and the cosmos. Duty and consequence become relevant and vital to shaping thoughtful, enduring responses. This can emanate only from this land for the benefit of the global community. India must not merely import global narratives. We do it thinking they are full of worth. It must contribute to shaping them. And that can only happen when we build an ecosystem that values and rigorously studies our own traditions. And for this, friends, we need universities like JNU to take the lead. Ma'am, congratulations. You must be laboratories of this great intellectual reinvigoration and ideation. You must create spaces where historians work alongside coders, Sanskritists alongside biologists, ethicists alongside engineers. This conference is a crucial step to building that ecosystem. Let us therefore turn our attention to tangible action, because that is need of the hour. The creation of digitized repositories of classical Indian texts is an urgent priority, covering all classical languages such as Sanskrit, Tamil, Pali, and Prakrit, to name just few. These repositories should be made widely accessible, enabling scholars in India and researchers around the world to engage meaningfully with these sources. Equally essential is the development of training programs that empower young scholars with robust methodological tools, blending philosophy, computational analysis, ethnography, and comparative inquiry to deepen their engagement with Indian knowledge system.